Hey, we are back, boys, with the DSR AEW Dynamite Rewind. I am Nick Dynamite, Nick Larocco, and I am joined by some amazing people. Fellas, introduce yourselves. We'll start with you, Caesar.
How's it going, guys? It's the man himself. I am Caesar, hanging out with these two gentlemen, discussing the 5-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite. But enough about myself. Let's pass it back up to this gentleman above me, by the man who is...
It's your boy, Robbie, is back and once again in time for the 5th year anniversary of AEW Dynamite. And boys, was it truly Dynamite tonight on the 5th year anniversary?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We have 5 years of Dynamite. And hey, we got another guy here with us. Introduce yourself, John, if you can hear us.
Hello, John Escudero. I'm here to talk about some fucking AEW Dynamite.
Let's go.
Let's go, fellas. We have 5 years of AEW Dynamite. Before we jump into the card, guys, I got a question. I wanted to make sure none of you were prepared for it.
Oh, boy.
All right, fellas. We had 5 entire years for AEW Dynamite. What are some of your favorite moments, matches, just overall episodes of Dynamite? What we enjoy over the last 5 years, guys? Robbie, you want to start?
For me, I'm going to go way back. One of my favorite moments in AEW Dynamite was very, very early on, and that was between the moment where Jon Moxley picks up Kenny Omega for the Death Rider, aka also the Paradigm Shift, right onto that glass table. That there was going to be the way, for me, where it was like, oh yeah, this is definitely going to be the alternative I was looking for from WWE. And that there would forever cement the fandom for me for Dynamite.
Oh yeah. Shot her around the world. Caesar, you look like you were going to shout one out there.
I've got a few moments, and I kind of will add on to Robbie's thing because I was also in the same boat looking for an alternative, and I did find it with this company. Now, I could go and easily say that the pandemic was a rough time, but it showed off some really amazing moments. 2 of them, I will say that were a big one for me, were when Hikaru Shida won her world championship. That was amazing. But the one moment that, dare I say, we do not want deleted was the debut of one Matt Hardy. Because if that arena was full, if Jackson's place was full, it'd be insane. Because I know when that moment happened, I was freaking out on my computer because I was like, holy shit. And then, of course, the episode ended. And I was like, great, I got to wait till the next week to see what happens. But it's been good.
Oh, absolutely. John, favorite moments.
I guess we kind of covered this a little bit, but the Kenny Omega Bryan Danielson match and the opening minutes and being in that building was just so special. It doesn't really get more special than that AEW Dynamite. Of course, there was also the return to the road when AEW first came back to when all of life first came back to being outside, and I got to be at the second AEW Dynamite on the road, and I got to take my son to his first wrestling event. We saw Darby Allin and Ethan Page in the only good Ethan Page match. It was great. I had a fun time.
No, absolutely. When I'm thinking of AEW Dynamite, I don't know why this is what is the match that really stands out to me, but I'm thinking of Omega and the Bucks versus Dante Martin and the Sydal brothers, because I thought about how star making that was for Dante Martin, and to me, that was just, I think the example that was set for what this company is going to be doing for so many younger talents out there who probably would have never gotten a chance to shine on the grandest stage of them all, with the lights on bright, as JBL used to say. So I really appreciated that. But again, we were talking about 5 years of AEW Dynamite. We had an amazing barn burner of a main event that definitely went full overdrive into an overtime. We had title versus title, with one of the titles being only on the line for 20 minutes. Ooh. We had the Continental Crown Champion, because I think that's so much better to say, Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, taking on Bryan freaking Danielson in the main event. We got, one more time, Okada and Danielson. Fellas, what do we think of this? In my notes, I literally just wrote, let's effing go, in all caps. John, I really want to hear what you had to say about this match.
Give him the floor.
I mean, when they said we were going to have a 30-minute overrun and all that, I made the joke that this match is going to go an hour. But I mean, essentially it went 30+ minutes on television, which is like insane. And
TV time, it's basically an hour.
I mean, I'm saying, but this match had already started. Like, I'm just happy to see Bryan and Okada, period. But then they did the 20 minutes, the time runs out in 20 minutes thing, or excuse me, the fucking opportunity of the Continental Championship runs out after 20 minutes. I thought that added a extra layer to the match that really didn't feel needed for me. I was like, fuck, we spent the first 20 minutes in Gear 1, and we all knew that it was going to be that way. So it kind of took away from the, I guess, the anticipation, the suspense, the things that you would kind of want by the time you're 20 minutes into the match. That being said, it was still Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada. I mean, what can you even say? Even if they don't have an all-time absolute classic, even if they both came in with fucking COVID and missing limbs, they would probably still put on a better wrestling match than
they go all in.
Most fucking people. So like, I enjoyed the hell
out of it.
The way
Bryan Danielson is, he will literally be on his deathbed. He's like, no, put me out there.
I'll be there in 20 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I had a lot of fun. The finish was interesting. Getting the black, I don't know what the fuck they call them, Blackpool Combat Club, BCC,
Moxley crew,
the angry people. They
totally not Shane McMahon's group.
Distracted Okada, made him feel all uncomfortable, and Bryan gets him with the old Kerry Von Erich Ric Flair finish. I really enjoyed that, and I'm interested in seeing what is going to happen next with this with Okada in particular. After Bryan and Moxley's situation is done, I assume at the pay-per-view, they kind of owe this man right now. I think that all of that stuff is going to come to a head during the Continental Classic tournament, where he'll be able to face more than one person. You know what I mean? Week after week. But very fun stuff. Interesting booking for the future at the end there. But yeah, man, what'd you guys think?
Yo, I want to just say for the record, number one, I really appreciated the way Okada was standing his ground solo up against, Claudio and Pac. And because remember, he took both of those guys on in matches, throughout like the past year. And then, Okada's just kind of lone wolfing this. And I really appreciate that, because he didn't need the EVPs, because we saw them all working together in the segment prior to this. So they were all around. But, he just, was standing his ground on his own. And I think that really shows a lot for the Rainmaker. He doesn't need the backup. And I love that. It's the little subtle things like that. And speaking of the little subtleties, was I the only one who was getting some serious Hulk Hogan Bash at the Beach 1996 vibes when Yuta came out with the hammer and everyone cleared the ring?
Yeah, especially when I realized him and Moxley were dressed almost in the same outfit. I was like,
right.
Oh, there goes the color coordination again. They're doing it again. How you doing, Daniel?
Hey,
thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I saw everyone clear out there, and I'm like, this is exactly what happened at Bash at the Beach 96 when everyone jumped out of the ring before the leg drop of doom. And I'm just like, oh no, he's going to hit Danielson with the hammer, isn't he? He didn't, but I was for several seconds, several moments anticipating it. So maybe next week or whenever they want to get around to this. But match and segment wise, what did you guys think, Caesar?
I'm just glad they actually didn't just kind of like how John was saying, they were in gear one. They didn't just go full send, go all out in the match. There were, ups and downs, slow moments, fast moments. Oh my God, so many teases with the Buseko knee and the Rainmaker, which was cool to see. It wasn't just like, oh, Rainmaker, he's done, it's over, 1, 2, 3. I have some thoughts on the post-match part, but we'll get to that in a second. And I am also in the same boat as you guys. Also, like, what the hell are they gonna do with Okada and Danielson's situation down the road? I am very curious about that. So we gotta wait for that, though. Robbie?
For me, heading into this, obviously this is the third match that these guys have had. This is the way I kept viewing it was LaBelle Lock versus Money Clip 3 for me, because I'm a submission guy. So when it comes down to it, that's why I think about it. But overall, the match was pretty good. In my opinion, it's probably Okada's best match in AEW by far. We're definitely going to see way more into Okada's repertoire as he goes on as an AEW Continental Crown Champion, as Nick likes to call it. And basically, I do like that little added factor of the BCC, or not Shane McMahon's group, who knows who they're calling him by these days now. I do like the fact, too, that they also have a little bit of an issue with the Elite as well. So them coming down, distracting Okada as well, coming down, making that so that way Danielson can win. If you kind of look at it at that logical standpoint, Moxley wants Danielson. So I like how they went ahead just to distract Okada instead of distracting Danielson. So that way they build that up into Wrestle Dream. But otherwise, with the 20-minute thing, this is where Okada's heel work has been tremendous. I like the fact how Okada was juicing those 20 minutes, taking his time in that ring, making sure that he wasn't going to lose his title, because that's what a heel does. That's what a true heel does. When your title is on the line, you got to do anything you can to defend your title. And overall, wonderful segment with Wheeler Yuta coming on down. You, as I will agree, I got that Bash at the Beach feeling from 96 with Hogan. So it was like, when it comes down to that tremendous match, barn burner of the match, thank you, Tony Khan, for giving us another Danielson banger that he's been putting out so much as of lately.
As we talk about it and as we think about it, why do I feel like that was by design? Who doesn't know the Hogan heel turn at Bash at the Beach? Everyone knows the scene of, the outsiders jumping out of the ring, kind of getting in the pathway of the referee so you can, freely hit. I think they were playing up that everyone knows that, because remember too, Yuta was the one who started to make this challenge, all of a sudden bringing in Danielson. I feel like there's more than meets the eye here. But yeah, fellas, any last bits to throw out there for this segment?
I'm just curious about what's going to happen going forward in regards to the trios belts. That's my other question.
There's nothing to ask. Next week, you're just going to bust Brian over the head with a hammer, and he'll be back where he belongs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wheeler the Hammer Yuta?
Fairly good math. Hey,
Wheeler Hammer.
Imagine this. There's 4 people in that match, and one of those guys is probably not going to be at the Dynamite after that one.
That's true. What better to set him up for Moxley on a silver platter than to hit him in the head with a hammer?
I'm sorry, Brian.
He's going to have the extra day to recuperate because it's Title Tuesday.
Ooh,
yeah.
Next week.
Exactly. So Dynamite, they announced, is going to be taking place next Tuesday instead of the usual Wednesday. So, hey, if you're joining us for this Dynamite recap, be sure to join us on the AEW Dynamite team next Tuesday and not those NXT punks.
Nope.
The better show right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of the better show, wink, wink, shall we take it back to the very beginning, fellas?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, hey, we had Jonathan Moxley opening up the show, the heart and soul of AEW, talking about how he is going to be taking that championship, how Moxley is going to bury Bryan Danielson. It was getting dark. It was getting disturbing. This is a new John Moxley, and this is going to be a John Moxley who says that he's going to relieve Bryan Danielson of his duties, and he will send Danielson home to be with his family. This, like I said, guys, this was dark and disturbing. What did y'all think of this, Robbie?
When it comes to Moxley, I don't know what it has been with me lately. Every promo he's been cutting for me, it's been goosebumps everywhere. Moxley just is talking so ominous as of late, and I just want to know what this war is all about. Like, what are you going for? Are you the one calling shots, or is somebody else calling the shots? When it comes down to what Moxley's been able to do promo cutting wise, it's all been Jake the Snake-esque, and he keeps going. But when it comes down to me just wanting more, it's to a point where now, this point with Moxley's promos, I don't know what he's saying anymore. It's just so ominous that I'm too hooked on how he's delivering it than what it's actually meaning.
Yeah, now, Robbie, you brought up a point that we almost forgot to mention from the end segment. John Moxley mentioning that there was someone that was forcing his hand before quickly backing off of that point in particular. Yeah. So there's some other driving force here. At any rate, John?
I think I didn't bring it up at the end of the show because I forgot, but Moxley did kind of imply that his actions are not his own. Someone else is calling the shots here. And I think people want it to be Shane McMahon more than they expected. But I also think that now it's so fucking deep in that if it's not Shane McMahon, people are gonna be like, I think I was underwhelmed.
This is World's End all over again.
I don't know that. I guess the Shane McMahon element is, at first I was kind of resistant. I was like, I don't really want to see this. I don't want to see any McMahons here. If you can keep that shit away. I mean, it's not like he can wrestle. I mean, people made jokes that he should fight Darby Allin. It's like he can't even fucking do a leapfrog without tearing both his fucking knees. So no, I don't. I didn't want to see any of that. But I guess I had kind of seen the documentary, and I gotta see how much Shane kind of is. How much business he has left in professional wrestling, and how I kind of would be okay if he decided that he wanted to try to get some of that business done at AEW. Partly because part of me is also like, I just want to see him make the move. Like, I just want to see.
It would be historic.
I want to see Tony Khan put a McMahon on the contract, because that's actually really fucking funny. Like, that's very fun. That's wild to me. That's hilarious. He has been in competition with Stephanie and Hunter for essentially his whole time, almost his whole time in the company, or for the last 20 years at least.
They even emphasized bits of that in the documentary.
And I mean, a lot of it was obvious. Like any attempt Shane tried to make to really get involved in the company beyond being an on-screen talent was met with severe pushback from Vince and probably fucking Stephanie and Triple H on the low, fighting to keep their position. But I wouldn't mind seeing him turn that competition into a real thing and actually fucking join up over here. Part of me, he talks so much about wanting to make his father proud, and I imagine his father left the WWE on bad terms, and I can even see Vince being like, help the competition.
Execute Order 66, Shane.
Make them better, Shane. They need it. I don't know exactly how much Shane is going to add creatively, though, because this is all idealistic talking. But like, when you look into it, when you really get into the nitty gritty of what we're talking about, you have to start looking at patterns, because that's what we do as humans. You go back to patterns and you use them to predict the future. Shane McMahon's creative ideas can be, his most recent ones can be found in 2022 WWE television. Things like WWE Underground, or Shane McMahon famously offering to win the Royal Rumble and compete for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania.
Taking box spot from number 30 in that Royal Rumble too.
And I can even imagine that he probably suggested some really silly things to Vince, and Vince was like, I would really, literally, actually die first. So it's all very nice, idealistic talking. Shane's a McMahon and he's on AEW TV. He can help with creative, but no, at best, it'd be a funny on-screen talent thing. Like we have a McMahon under contract. At worst, we allow him to get involved with the fucking storytelling in a significant way.
Yeah, you know what is honestly better, and I think more fits his skill set and past experiences? Pop him somewhere within the business realm. He knows how to talk to, all types of network executives. He knows how to talk to executives and sponsors, period, from all of his other ventures. Like, remember when he was involved with, what was it, like golf, and it was like a golf company. So he knows how to, run successful businesses just outside of even the wrestling realms. And I think he knows how to talk to those specific people as well. So I think he's a very important person to want to get on like the back end, the business side of it, even just off screen. Just keep him away from creative. But yeah, Caesar, did we get to you for the opening segment?
Everyone's kind of covered things, but I had an idea. So to kind of piggyback off everyone else's thing, correct me if I'm wrong, where was the last WCW episode filmed? Florida, right?
It was Panama City, Florida. Yeah.
Yep.
And if we're talking about Shane, wouldn't it be insane if he did debut, if he was gonna, at Daly's place?
That would make sense. I mean, it would tie into the whole thing of Vince buying WCW and them doing that simulcast where Shane shows up on the other end on Nitro in Panama City, Florida. So I can potentially see that happening.
I mean, that would be some crazy stuff.
Are they actually headed to Daly's place anytime soon? I
haven't looked into it.
I actually have been trying to look to see like what pay-per-views coming over to like Boston. I haven't seen anything for Jacksonville, Florida for Daly's place on any of those lists.
No.
Here's one of the issues. AEW doesn't always do the best job in promoting their upcoming shows.
Yeah. I don't think that they have a Jacksonville show coming though, because they probably would have done the anniversary show there. But this Shane McMahon thing is probably going to come to a head at the upcoming pay-per-view rather than, weeks away.
John, are you just kind of manifesting something here?
Oh no. Yes. I actually need every single important plot point to happen only at this pay-per-view where I'm going to be in the audience for.
I was going to say, John, why do you want everything to manifest at this pay-per-view?
Need that. I'm going to get Takeshita a singles match on there.
John's just handing out like everything he wants.
We're gonna bring Vince.
John's going to go to the ring with Vince. Jump the guardrail.
Oh, that is absolutely wild. But you know what else was wild, fellas? Ricochet versus Will freaking Ospreay. We got this on live TV.
Both these guys.
Hey, exactly. Both these guys. I wrote in my notes, "Let's go" in all caps, and I just stood away from my computer and watched the whole match happen on my TV. Oh my gosh. They played the hits and it was everything that we could have asked for. They even redid that amazing viral moment. If you know, you know. Guys, this was absolutely a tremendous barn burner match, and what a great way to open up the show. This absolutely feels like what AEW Dynamite set out to accomplish and set out to be 5 years ago. Dare I say, this probably was the match that really kind of helped kickstart a lot of the ideas for what AEW would become when you look back in 2016, 2017. So when that match originally happened, New Japan watchers like that was absolutely glorious, and it was so cool to see them revisit that. But I really want to know what you have to think about this. John, let me know.
I think I posted it on Facebook and I literally was like, this is for us. Is for us. Like, if you were watching New Japan in 2016, 2017, then this one was for you. And I was more surprised at how much they could still do. Like, they're much larger men now. Larger. Yeah. Older,
frustrating,
still fucking moving like superheroes.
8 years of injuries added onto that.
Yeah,
it's insane. I was a bit in awe. Honestly, they went as hard as I thought that they would, and the double non-finish is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. Because they do the draw, And I was like, oh, fucking bastards. And then they do the, they act like they're going to reset it. And then Takeshita comes out and fucks it all up.
Mhm.
Great heel stuff, man. Evil shit. I was so fucking mad. But the report is that Takeshita is in line for a big old push. And
As
it looks
he
like
should be.
that. It looks like that is, that this was the beginning of that. I expect to see Takeshita versus Ospreay or belt that man up. He's been in AEW for years and they haven't given him a single title. It's honestly kind of sickening.
But amazing matches.
Every time.
Ideally, I want to see Takeshita in the Continental Classic rather than
hell yeah.
like I would be okay if this was a red herring. Like Ospreay actually is going to retain at some point, and Takeshita's real push comes during the Continental Classic in November, and leading up to that Okada match.
Ooh.
But that's just me fantasy booking. I don't really have any idea where this is going to go. It looks like a triple threat, possibly between Takeshita, Ricochet, and Ospreay, and I don't think I would hate that at all. But yeah, great match, great finish.
Oh, absolutely. I even wrote in my notes, I was just like triple threat ? But you know what? I absolutely love that the heel Takeshita runs on in there and ends this match that everyone has wanted to see. Whether you're a hater or you're a fan, you wanted to watch this for one reason or another, and Takeshita ruins it, and that was amazing work there. I also like the little subtlety of Don Callis taking Coyle Fletcher out of the arena for that. Shout out to Fletcher wearing a White Sox jersey. Of course, you probably got that from Schaumburg's own Sky Blue.
It didn't occur to me that for a second I was this is about the main event. I'm sorry to change the subject.
No, go for it.
It occurred to me now because I was wondering, like, oh man, this is cool. We got Bryan versus Okada, but like, what was the thought process? Like, how did we get here? And I didn't realize this is probably Bryan's final singles match on Dynamite. And you've got to figure if they say something like, who do you give Bryan for his final singles match on AEW television? And everyone just unanimously goes, Okada. Okada. Yeah. That just occurred to me while we were talking about this completely different segment.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, it's never too late to be thinking about all the different things, just like Max said, butts and stuff.
Now Tony Storm is not here.
Dang it. Whoa, I just heard the door beside me opening and there's nobody in there. All
You're
right,
being
ghosts are
robbed.
here. It's spooky time.
It's Hangman.
Yeah, he's going to be
It's
burning
Hangman in the
down.
house.
Oh, we'll be getting to that shortly. But listen, fellas, we got to get through this opening match. Do we have any other thoughts on there? Robbie, did you talk about this?
Not yet, but I'm actually going to go through it. I also wrote in my notes, gravity defying once again between these two. It makes me feel like when I was watching that match, they got me hooked like I was a kid again when I first watched these two face each other in New Japan as well. I also got to write my favorite sequence too in this match, where I love the fact that they were doing the tease with the 630 from Ricochet, got rolled through, hidden blade, then was reversed, backslide driver into a pile driver. That was one of my favorite spots of the whole match. Crowd chanting "Fight Forever." They had me chanting "Fight Forever" because I kept wanting them to go. Crowd was on fire. Everybody was loving it. And then the draw happens. Mood was killed. It even killed me. So like, wait, are they really just going to end this on their draw? Please restart it. Please restart this shit back. I need a damn clear winner. And they do. And then Takeshita being a piece of shit and ruining it for me again. Like, I get it. I know the move. Give Takeshita a push, but I wish they would have waited for after the match. I really wanted a clear winner of that match, and then Takeshita come out and attack the champion and the challenger. But
They want your money, sir.
it
No,
was what it was.
exactly. Play the hits right now because you're going to pay to see it later.
Exactly. So basically, I do understand the move. I like the move where they're going from. I just wish they pulled the trigger a little bit later till after the match. But otherwise, barn burner. Another great opening match from AEW Dynamite once again.
Absolutely. Again, that was the perfect capstone to open it up. Caesar, did you talk about this match at all?
Everyone's been taking everything for me to say on this one. Honestly, all I wrote down was just like all the stuff the crowd was chanting because, dare I say, it was almost like a clinic. And to kind of quote you, they played the hits.
Mhm.
I was having dinner during the match. My dumbass decided to make a bowl of food. And what's bad about a bowl? It's not transparent. So I had a bit of a mess on my table while watching the match. So I ate half my food. My table was covered in half my food. And yeah.
So it sounds like you made a mess, just like what happened to the Collision Cowboys, because we, of course, had the guns. We had Austin and Colton being talked to by Renee, and in the background, you saw sneaking up from behind with a steel freaking chair, the Hangman, ready to come in and get that kill. This was... it was funny in the sense of how brutal it was, and Hangman's making sure he's not going to be dealing with any outside interference, but we'll talk more about that later. But we also had another amazing segment. Caesar, I know you're ready for this. Mercedes Monday and Camille the Brickhouse.
Oh, sorry, I'll listen to that part.
We're speaking with Renee, but the most notable thing on here, Mercedes says, money changes everything, to which MVP walks into frame saying, yes, it does. Here's my card.
Stoked for him being here.
Oh, yeah. I was honestly thinking this was probably the only thing we'll be seeing from MVP this night, but we'll get to that later.
The announcement, thank goodness.
I would have been. I know this is probably not a significant story plot. It's probably just getting MVP on screen with Mercedes, but I wouldn't have minded if they actually did do something together moving forward. I'm not sure how it would work, but it's not my job to figure out.
It feels like both of them would easily fit into the Hurt Syndicate, especially Camille.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she's run. I don't remember who she ran with, but I have to. There's a connection there.
I believe when she was running in NWA, she was actually running with Nick Aldis when he was champion. That was the only person I can think of she was running with in NWA was Nick Aldis.
She was the muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we have the CEO meeting the MVP and Camille the Brickhouse. Like I said, I think she is just a perfect fit for that Hearn Syndicate. But hey, guess what, fellas? It's TV time with the Learning Tree. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Big Bill absolutely destroyed and interrupted Excalibur on commentary, and it feels like that wasn't even meant to happen, but I loved it. That was either a mistake or a rib. Either way,
I hope it was a rib.
Absolutely tremendous. And Jericho comes out, the Bad Apple comes out, and as Jericho said, we had a big announcement earlier today, and we made a lot of the experts look like idiots. It was also besides the 5th anniversary of Dynamite, the 34th anniversary of Jericho's wrestling debut. That's pretty wild. But hey, Jericho, like we see on here, up against Mark Briscoe, he says the Ocho is gone and it's time for the Nueve. Let's see. We have Jericho challenging Mark Briscoe. Yes.
I'm more interested in Brian Keith's Bad Apple. That's right in the middle of the screen.
I know. I was staring at that when this segment was happening. Is that a button next to it on the left?
I don't. A butt? Well, I mean, I guess
left?
someone probably drew a butt on purpose on a tree, but it probably isn't supposed to be.
We got distracted. We are literally kids here, but yeah. So Jericho wants to be a Nueve. He wants to challenge Mark Briscoe, and it's really, honestly, really cool that we were able to have Mark Briscoe on this show. Because we think back to years ago when him and his brother were barred from appearing on Dynamite. But speaking of his brother, Jericho went there, and he said, everyone says that Mark wouldn't be as good as Jay, and he's not nearly as good as Jay. And again, when you go there to someone's deceased family member, you're just kind of asking for him to punch right in the face, and that's exactly what Mark Briscoe did. And it was so well deserved that even Jericho told Big Bill and Brian Keith, back off. I had that one coming. So we had a moment of the Learning Tree and a conglomeration coming out here, setting up what will be for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. What do we think of this segment, Caesar?
Honestly, this is one of the times I actually could sit and listen with the whole Jericho Learning Tree situation. And I'm surprised Jericho didn't do one of those, this is my best moment of the past 5 years kind of things, typical heel kind of thing. But when it came to the two of them doing the standoff, and Jericho and Briscoe were both like, no, guys, it's okay, I got this. That was cool. And then of course the line came up, and oh my god, the punch was full, just fist to cheek, done. So when would they do this match if we had to figure that out? Not Wrestle Dream, would it?
I can't imagine why not. They don't have that five
I
card
believe that
thing going on.
Yeah.
I believe Jericho did say that he was challenging him for Wrestle Dream for the title.
Looks like it is set for Wrestle Dream.
I'm a moron then. I missed that part.
Yeah, watch the fucking show, Caesar.
Caesar, what are you even doing on here?
All right, I'll be right back, then.
This guy's always cooking.
You were cleaning up a mess.
Oh my god.
Rowdy,
Anyway.
what do you think?
I have 3 letters. I'm going to describe this as
DMD.
JFC. Jericho Fried Chicken.
Mm.
I love chicken.
When Briscoe said that he was going to turn Jericho into fried chicken, I just laughed my ass off. As of late, Briscoe has been coming out with these promos that are just so entertaining that I just can't help but to laugh.
They're so weird, but they're so good.
You can just tell he's out there with his vibe, that what he's always been, how he was talking about how his father raised him to be a man and stuff. And Jericho showing us why he has been in the wrestling business now for 34 years was that little punchliner of getting under Mark's skin, because that is something that Mark had to deal with in storylines in Ring of Honor, was being told, Jay is better than you, Mark. Yeah. And soon as he said that, Jericho got turned into fried chicken real quick because he punched him in the mouth. Briscoe sat there and said, keep my brother's name out your damn mouth. I can't wait to see this, but in all honesty, Briscoe better be the one coming over on this, because in my opinion, Jericho doesn't need another Ring of Honor World title reign. Jericho has done it all. I think he's in the position that he's in now is just fine. We don't need him taking another championship for quite some time. Honestly, I hope Briscoe goes in the Wrestle Dream and gives him a Briscoe style ass whooping.
Right on. John.
Yeah, man, this wasn't a bad segment at all. Everything got over the way it should be. Mark Briscoe as the white meat babyface is always going to be weird for me, but I can still accept it. It more reminds me of way back when this story was that Jay was a fucking asshole to his younger brother, and he was just fighting his way out from under. But it's a lot older now. He's a lot more rugged, and it's really interesting seeing him overperform in this role because he's just great at it. And yeah, I imagine he's going to beat Chris Jericho, and that's a really good win for Mark Briscoe. If there's one thing AEW has done perfectly, it's fucking honoring Mark Briscoe as a wrestler and just giving him opportunity after opportunity and watching him knock him out of the park. They just consistently keep him on TV and as a significant part of the show. And if they're going to give him this win over Jericho, then that means that they have even further plans for him. And you know what? I'm fucking down.
Yeah, I'm here for it. And honestly, too, Mark Briscoe, which, if you're thinking of, Mark Briscoe from years ago, like who would have thought that he would be almost like the wrestler that appeals to every age demographic in AEW nowadays? Like without a doubt, the way he acts, it appeals to the kids. It appeals to, the seniors. It appeals to the casuals. It appeals to the hardcore. Like it's so wild to think about, and I love it. And I love Mark Briscoe, and I can't help but be biased here just because I love the Briscoe so much, and especially following this, Jericho knew exactly what he was doing by bringing that up. So now you absolutely want to root for Mark Briscoe. But follow that up, we will have the Darby Allin talking about the bus, brother. 3 dudes used to spit on the back of Darby Allin's head on a bus, and one of them even pulled out a switchblade when he wanted to confront them. And the craziest thing is that's only the second deadliest thing involving Darby and a bus. But anyways, Darby is throwing out an open challenge. Man is willing to defy death, and nothing more dangerous than a man with nothing to lose, right? So Darby's going to be throwing out an open challenge at Wrestle Dream, and this is an open challenge meant for anyone. Doesn't matter who you are, anyone can come out and anyone can take you on at the pay-per-view. Fellas, who do we think is going to be answering Darby Allin's open challenge?
Well, I thought it was going to be Jay White, and then Jay White came after Hangman. So,
well, that's not it.
I actually think it might be the return of Swerve. Two Washington boys going one-on-one against each other. It could be Swerve.
It's Shelton Benjamin.
Ooh.
Swerve would be cool. Although, I don't know. Partly, I kind of hate that they would do that match with no build because there's such a possible story there between them, and especially if they were going to have this match in Washington, then we should have worked harder to get towards that instead of using it as this side stop, this stopgap in whatever Darby really has going on, And
there's such history between the two of them, and they've been friends forever. And their connection, again, it runs deep and it runs way back. So, like you said, John, it's absolutely wild. They have done a little bit more with that.
Could this be like a debut for somebody?
Nah, he said on the roster. No one else is invited.
At first, I thought Bobby Lashley, but I also kind of thought, okay, Darby's been down in the dumps as of late. They got to give him a win sooner or later. So then that's when I'm like, it can't be Bobby.
I do appreciate the mental visual that I think, though, of Bobby Lashley coming out and spearing the life out of Darby Allin from one side of the ring to the other.
I know who it is. Yeah. It's going to be Miro.
Oh. I don't know how I feel about that.
They finally got him to agree.
But like 2 years later?
Yes. Darby's jacket gets dirtier and dirtier every week, I swear to God.
Forgot to wash it.
It looks like it's a real difficult material when we wash it, too.
It's a shag carpet with holes. That's all it is.
Looking through the roster and looking at whoever's injured, I don't know if we know much about the status for someone like a Keith Lee or someone like... Is Eddie Kingston ready to come back yet? Anyone here?
No, he's not even close. But again,
pretty bad.
Like Robbie said, I feel like it's probably someone that Darby should be able to beat. I don't know. But then if it's somebody that Darby should be able to beat, is it going to be worth the pop at the pay-per-view? It's an interesting balancing act there. Darby should probably just lose, honestly.
I like that because I just realized someone that is ready to come back. Powerhouse.
Oh, fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
He just comes out and destroys Darby. Yeah, this thing, though, Hobbs coming back, I don't want to see him struggling. Like, I don't want to see him going 50-50 in his first match. And he can't really kill Darby in Washington. I mean, I guess you can, but, like, I hope you have plans after that. Like, I hope you have something you want to do after that.
Yeah, but we had a bunch of different segments, but now we finally get to an actual match. This was one of the big four matches that they were talking about. This stemmed from the Lumberjack strap match from Collision. Hangman taking on Juice. And for me as a Illinois boy, I gotta definitely throw a shout out there that they said Juice was from Joliet and not Chicago, because that's what they say for literally everyone else that is at all from this area. But anyways, Juice still has his leather strap that he stole and didn't turn back in from the strap match. But he got hit by a low blow. Hangman wins following a low blow on the Juice box. And he is preparing to use said strap to go and hang. No, I don't think he even used the strap. Was it his belt he was trying to use?
It was a weapon that we can't even show on the stream because Facebook isn't. Down. Yeah, they're not happy with that.
Yes, but attempted hanging by the Hangman. He really cannot keep getting away with this. And guess what? The Switchblade agrees. He is back. He literally comes out of nowhere and saves his boy from the Hangman. This is just, again, pure battle between guys that it's wild to think of are wrestling on such a major show, taking each other on in the ring, face to face on a major wrestling show in 2024. Like, who would have thought this would happen? But the most important thing, and again, I've been mentioning the subtleties all night long, We had the Switchblade making sure that his boy Juice was all nice and calm and in a safe place and not being, hung and dying over there at the ringside area so he can go and take on the Hangman. I really like that little addition of it. But what did you guys think? John?
This was a fun match. I like that they spent the first half of it outside of the ring doing brawl, no disqualification stuff because the bell hadn't rung yet. Always a fun way to sneak in a half a no DQ match. They they started doing the Hangman hangings again, and I'm okay with this because I guess I've been watching Hangman for so long that now I'm nostalgic for for like other things. He used to do this all the time in Ring of Honor. So as long as he doesn't carry like an outright noose, we probably can't do that anymore. Then I'm excited to have this weapon back because when it comes to Texas Death Matches, which are Hangman's signature match, that particular move is like the scariest shit. Like he's going to try to fucking hang him. It's awesome. I love that he uses that. But yeah, I'm glad to see Hangman versus Jay White at the pay-per-view, presumably. That's a big match. That I want to say is a rematch. I fucking swear I've seen this before.
That's what I was trying to think.
I believe so. Yeah, because Hangman's one who took out Jay White, I believe.
Yeah, White was probably heel.
I don't know. I don't even know if it was in AEW. Even though they probably did. But yeah, I gotta look it up. I'm trying to pull up. They definitely had a match in AEW in October of 2023, so about a year ago. But that's not what I was thinking of. I swear they had a New Japan match. But anyway,
in a social media exclusive, Jay White actually mentioned that. I'll just provide the actual quote right here. Cowboy, I'm going to stop you. We can play fire with fire. Then we can see who burns.
Ooh.
Very good. I love Jay White.
Bars. And also I appreciate how Hangman's theme is just now when he comes out, it's pure fire. He's got Swerve's house still burning on his Contron. If you see on the things to the side of me, the little circle entryway, he's still got like little fire things in there. There's all types of smoke, orange lighting. I like that little touch. That
reminds me, actually, the crowd fucking chanting "Whose house?" Swerve's house, and Hangman just being like, "Fuck all of you! Stop it!"
Burned it down.
It's not over, I guess. I guess Swerve has to pin Hangman. Interesting. I mean, that's probably I'm kind of selfish in that I really like when a story is at a good place. Like I feel like we should leave. Like let's retire right now. Don't even risk fucking it up. Like
we're all done.
But it is big money. It's big money on the table, and it's not something people are done with yet. It's not something people are tired of seeing yet. So I understand if they want to head in that direction sometime within the next 6 months, especially since I don't really know how else this Hangman character arc, like I don't know where this goes. Like, does he have to get smashed in by Swerve to realize? Like,
those are the screams that happen whenever Hangman burns down another house.
Happy Halloween.
Here's the thing, and in modern wrestling, it's so wild that we're able to have this type of a feud, this type of a rivalry that people perpetually want to see, that people want to see keep going, especially, in this day of quick videos and TikTok and things like that. I sounded like such an old man when I was saying that, but in this time period, we want things, quick. We want them now. And then at that point, okay, what's the next thing you want to throw out there? It's quite rare when there is, like I said, that feud or that rivalry that you want to indulge in continuously and that you want to see more of. And these are two guys that they bring a variety of styles to the table, and their chemistry is, dare I say, unmatched in AEW. And again, like we say, fight forever. I think these two are going to be that perpetual rivalry that they will be fighting forever. And you know what? I'm honestly okay with it. I guarantee every match is going to be different and crazier than the last.
All right.
Well, hey, if we don't have anything else to say on that.
I believe I do, actually.
Hey,
I do like the fact that they did touch on the leather strap lumberjack match from last Saturday, where Juice immediately goes out and he whips Hangman with that leather strap. I like that little nuance of bringing what we saw from last Saturday that brought us to this match on Wednesday. That was just that little factor that I love to see there. I literally wrote down leather strap PTSD there for Hangman.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I thought it was a wonderful match, and I can't wait to see where Jay White and Hangman go. But I also want to throw out there, maybe since we've been talking about Hangman over here burning houses down, when are we going to get the first ever AEW Inferno match?
It's gonna be with the Hangman.
Oh yeah,
either Hangman or whenever Darby gets that flamethrower again.
Yeah, I like their use of fire. I'm not a big fan of the Inferno match because it kind of keeps you in a hole, almost like. Sometimes I feel that way about the cage match, but the wrestlers tend to find a way to make the cage interesting. I just wonder how much you can play with fire like that. It's kind of scary.
Darby's
as long as they do what they did back in the day for WWE Inferno matches, where every time they hit that canvas pretty hard and they just hit that button to make the flames go up, I'll be happy.
That added so much to it. It's those little subtleties that just add to it. And at the end, this has been a show full of those. And like you said, Robbie, it's those types of, the little nuances that have added to this. And it was that continuity that really enhanced this match, in my opinion. Caesar, do you have any final points to throw out there before we go to the next thing?
Honestly, whether it was the stuff they did in the ring, stuff they did in the crowd, I was reading the Twitter and everything like that, reading the comments. I saw someone actually say something like, I bet that thing of popcorn costs like $20. I'm like, hey, it's hardcore on the outside until the bell rings, so who cares? Awesome moments, sweet to see Jay Way back, and hella curious to where's it going forward.
They just announced the international championship match for Wrestle Dream.
Ooh.
And it is breaking news. I'm trying to bring a graphic on because I like the graphics. They're really nice. It's these Wrestle Dream graphics. I was just in the Redwoods, so I'm all the way down for this mountain aesthetic. But yeah, it just uploaded, and we have I don't remember what section I was in. It was around the Avenue of Giants, but there we go. Wrestle Triple Threat. Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and Konosuke Takeshita.
All right, we already know match of the night.
That is
that's going to steal the show.
1 hour long.
The price of admission.
Match of the year.
Oh, yes.
Holy shit.
I'm a Babe Ruth this right now, calling the shot. That's match of the year.
That is going to be the reigning monsoon.
I can't even imagine how I'm supposed to do. How am I supposed to live after that?
So
I get
lucky.
to see that.
John did the Rick's head like,
I can't wait.
I can't do that anymore.
That's going to be awesome. But hey, speaking of Wrestle Dream, we're going to go through a few more segments here. Rapid fire style. Shibata challenged Jack Perry at Wrestle Dream for that title. And when he was getting ready to type out what the machine was going to say to Renee, I'm sorry. What happened?
Jack Perry.
I just
racist.
failed. I meant to say. You know what the worst part is? I meant to say Jack Perry there. Jack Perry jumps Shibata from behind. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, Jack Perry, the scapegoat.
Wow, yeah.
I didn't even mean that for Shibata. I meant that for Jack Perry. That's the worst. That's the worst part. It was the wrong person too.
We kick it out.
Sorry, Jack Perry is just so much alike, I guess. Anyways, Jack Perry does that thing he does best where he, just attacks you from behind. And get ready for this because he's going to be doing that again. So we move on. And speaking of amazing things for Wrestle Dream, Bryan Danielson goes on there. He says, hey, F you, Jon Moxley. Danielson holds the championship. Not for anyone else. He holds it for AEW.
Let's go. I think
this is where the best wrestle.
What a great fucking promo. What a great champion. As he was standing there, as he held that belt, I just kept thinking like he literally embodies everything AEW is and was and hopefully will be. Like, this is the perfect person to be the face of your brand. Like,
Yeah.
and presumably, like, he's done. Like, this is scariest shit I've ever seen. Like, I'm not ready to be without Bryan Danielson. I'm not ready to let go of this
He's
right
not ready
here.
for a breakup.
This doesn't feel like I'm at the end. I'm back. I'm not. I thought I was at peace with it, but I'm not. I can't. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. This can't be.
It was the same thing too, where it was like Danielson taking on Okada. I was feeling so bittersweet, just like I said with his match with Nige. How it feels like this is the end of the road, and I love that we're being able to see Danielson in these matches. But at the same time, it sucks that this is going to be the end of it.
I had a bit of an epiphany here
Oh.
in that Bryan. Basically, what I was just saying. They're positioning Bryan as the AEW guy, or like Mr. AEW. He even says it. I'm doing it for AEW, and it even feels like, look at this. This is what AEW is. The story though is that Moxley wants to change AEW. So I mean, narratively, taking down that kind of what's the word? Not iconic, like icon. Taking down that kind of symbol, making it really works in the story. Like, you're about to shift the entire feeling of the company. Like, Moxley is doing exactly what he said he wanted to do. He wants to fuck this shit up, or at least crack it and break it and bring it back to what he believes AEW is supposed to be. And getting rid of Bryan, actually succeeding. Like, when a heel actually succeeds at their evil plan, that actually is pretty cool. Like, so if he beats Bryan at this pay-per-view, it's gonna feel surreal. And I bet even the finish, I bet people are gonna be like, what happened? That was maybe they're gonna call it flat, but it's gonna be one of those things where you just don't see it coming. But that's what makes this weird. It's like, if Moxley pins Bryan, he takes the title, changes the vibe of the company, evil stuff is about to go down. How does that send Bryan off? Like, how do you end that show? Like, like, how do you do a retirement ceremony after they kill Bryan Danielson? I think they're gonna kill him, man. Fucking send him off. Like, he's not gonna get like a celebration or anything. I think they're gonna murder him.
John, I am going to go.
I'm afraid for that.
Absolutely. I'm going to go with the amazing reference that I hope you're waiting for, John. My Hero Academia. Listen,
Yes.
I'm thinking of when All Might and All For One were in that fight in the city to save Bakugo. And I am just picturing right now, hey, 90s Wrestling fan, I am picturing when All Might, just used up the last of One For All and is just Danielson all shriveled up, and he's used up the last of his wrestling, and he points to the rest of the roster and is like, now it's your turn. And I'm just picturing like the rest of the roster has to step up and be those flag bearers for AEW to take on the brutality force of Moxley and friends.
It's just Yuta in the back crying.
Yuta's Deku.
He's pointing right at me. He pointed right at me.
I'm gonna be crying too, like Wheeler Yuta at that point. I mean, Danielson.
No, I'm lying. Yuta's probably gonna be a piece of shit.
When it comes, oh no,
Got the hammer.
You guys were talking about the bittersweetness with Nigel and stuff like that. I was even
There it is. Yes.
There it is.
Go.
I was also looking at that when at all in with Swerve. I just kept telling you, I remember my girlfriend was right beside me. I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I don't want Bryan to retire yet. I can't do this. I think Bryan could still go on for another 10 years if he could. And just seeing how, to me, we're talking about who might be the heart and soul of AEW. The soul is definitely Moxley. To me, the heart is definitely Bryan Danielson when it comes to AEW, because he helped that company get to bigger places in this day and age. They've been around for 5 years when people said that they were not going to even last a year. Bryan came in and he helped everybody out, not just creatively, but everybody he's been in the ring with AEW. He made them and helped them look tremendous. And honestly, when he first retired back in WWE, I bawled my eyes out. I feel like it's going to be the exact same way. This is where men are going to cry. Is where Bryan Danielson will officially retire. or and I'm like John. I am not ready to see Bryan go.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rough one when he does go, because he's been such a constant in pro wrestling for honestly, you know, as long as I think a lot of people have been watching, and just for this entire century right now, you know, going from 2000 to now, it's gonna be, you know, just a repeat, I think, of how I think all of us were feeling in, what was it, like 2015, 2016.
That crushed it. And that's the thing too. It was unannounced. Like, we just heard Daniel Bryan had an announcement, and then later on he announced what he was doing. Right from there, it was just instant tears, because like nobody was ready for that. Nobody's gonna be ready for him when he finally does choose to retire on his own terms. And just to think that we have such limited time left with Bryan Danielson in the ring, it's hard to think, because there's a lot of wrestlers who were able to capture the minds and the hearts and the souls of each and every fan. Bryan Danielson was one of them. Everything that he's done, and the thing is too, he didn't just play a gimmick. Everything you see in Bryan, that's him in real life. And the way he was able to help kids out, everything from helping WWE with Connor's cure and everything, he's done so much for the wrestling business. I know that he does want to spend more time with his kids. That's all on him. I will be happy for him to do that, but selfishly, Bryan, fight forever.
Keep fighting, Bryan. Don't stop fighting. Oh yeah, so Bryan Danielson, no matter what, we always love you. But hey, going on to the next match, we had a lot of excitement, especially from the local crowd, because it's Britsburg. They had the terrible towels. Steelers fans were ready. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, took on the Professor, Serena Deeb. They billed this as the Doctor versus the Professor. I even wrote in my notes, Doctor Who versus Futurama, let's go. Also, we have the two women who are the flag bearers. They are the gatekeepers for their women's division. And I think that this was a fun match to have onto this, you know, 5th anniversary of Dynamite, because you have two of the stalwarts that represent everything that the women were, not just, you know, in AEW, but for the last couple of decades now. And to see both of them in the ring for this 5th anniversary show, it was awesome, especially because we had those glimpses at the future of the women's division. We had Mariah May, who is the champion, but still has a lot more left to prove, sitting there watching. And we also had Queen Aminata getting involved later on. But the Professor, at the end of the match, did something that very much felt out of character for her, at least in my opinion, where she started screaming and allowed for an opening that the Doctor was able to go and take advantage of, hitting the lockjaw. And that was the end of the match there. And as Mama Loracco likes to say for that, good, because she is not a Britt Baker fan anymore. So Serena Deeb, which is when Serena Deeb, you know, jumped Britt Baker from behind, and Queen Aminata came out to save the day and helped Britt Baker. Mariah May enjoyed this match in her own way, at least saying who potential future competitors will be. Fellas, what do we think of this women's match?
For me, it was what it was. I mean, I'm not going to knock on Serena Deeb. She's a wonderful wrestler, but I felt like, to me, the match is what it was. To me, it could have gone a little bit better in some ways, but it is what it is. But I honestly want to talk about more about the Aminata rub, because we were just talking about weeks ago when she was in that tag team match weeks ago in AEW that they need to do more of the Aminata, and this is the perfect way to do it. They got a future star in their hands, and by doing that and having her do the save for Britt Baker, that's your rub right there, because Baker, without a shadow of a doubt, is one of the biggest women superstars on that roster. Yeah. So having Aminata come out to get that rub, I want to see what's next. And that too, in Britsburg, out of all people. But I will touch too on this. I love the entrance. I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm a diehard Eagles fan, but I did like the fact how they had to come out through the home crowd. Terrible talent. All the entrance was really cool, and that's something you don't see much outside of Jon Moxley in AEW is people coming out to the crowd. And honestly, for Britt Baker, it fit perfectly.
I believe the NXT guys were invading there. Caesar, what'd you think of this?
So if we're gonna pull the card of this being the fifth year of Dynamite, let's throw the card on the table that, to kind of paraphrase Britt, she's actually one of the only women who came back from the original All In pay-per-view from before AEW.
That's true.
Yeah,
which is a pretty huge shout out to the old before time, shall we call it?
Yeah, that's not even day one. That's day 0.
That's negative before BC, technically. The match was good. It did its purpose. My only beef is Aminata's music, because it hit. No, it hit, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, it was cool to see Queen Aminata. She's getting a huge rub.
Yeah.
But the theme, I'm not saying change the theme like 360 it. No, I'm saying like give it a little more oomph, or like something like, because when it went off, I was like, oh, well, that was me. Like, I had to process it.
I think it might just be to do with the fact that we just don't know her theme as much, because when she has been coming out on AEW television, we don't see her entrance as much. So
We've seen it a
that
couple
could
times
be what it
recently.
is. I mean, for me, I haven't as much, because every time I've seen her, she's already in the ring.
Yeah, but I'm saying like Brit's intro has like that big, like that long note, and then it says the doctor will see you now kind of thing.
Yes.
So that's all I'm getting at.
You don't want to end up with your deaf rebel.
No,
you need
not like
a
that.
soundbite intro.
No,
I legitimately believe
Nightmare
you just don't have any emotional attachment to it, because there haven't been any like Queen Aminata moments yet. Like her, like the way she wrestles, but she hasn't had moments. Like it's really important to hear that music when someone is having important moments that you connect with emotionally. Because even the worst theme song or even the worst names, they just kind of hit when dude is holding the title in the air and there's fucking confetti flying, and it's like, I'll never forget this.
Give it a few weeks, maybe.
This is everything. Yeah, so we go and follow this up. Yes, John?
This is unrelated. Entirely unrelated. It's not.
I referenced My Hero, so I go with it.
No, but you referenced My Hero in at least in reference to what we were already talking about. I am like, I'm on the other side of the fucking planet. I don't even know how many people are interested in this. But the creator of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy lost his job, so he's auctioning off all the production materials on eBay right now to pay his mortgage. And I was looking through the I was looking at this fucking storyboard. I thought I was in. Honestly, I was talking to Caesar. I forgot that I didn't put myself back in the room. So I was I was looking at this while I was trying to respond to his thing about Queen Aminata's music. But now that we're here, I wanted to tell you all why I was distracted. But yeah, I really wanted this storyboard, but it's currently at like $500 on the bid. Fuck, it's really cool.
Collectible Haas Delgado on there?
What? I thought you were gonna say like 5,000.
It's a thick. It's a very thick. It's a very thick. Oh, it's for the pilot. Oh shit.
Ooh.
Oh
John's
wow.
like a berry pack.
All
I don't have.
right, everyone, go to eBay.
That'd be very
Time
cool.
to take a loan out.
John's like, who wants to lend me money?
All right, chat. Let's start doing the GoFundMe. Get DirtSheetRadio the storyboards. Let's go.
John,
We need it.
yes.
We need the storyboard bad.
For research.
You know, that's probably where Taz went. You know, he was saying he got jumped, but in reality, he knew that this was going to happen. But hey, speaking of Taz, it's time to send Hook out to do a promo. So they did a little flashback sequence where they showed, because they were doing throughout the night, you know, different moments that were happening throughout the course of history for AEW on Dynamite. And one of them they showed was from earlier this year when Samoa Joe and Hook had their infamous World Heavyweight Championship match.
Oh, I remember that.
It was a banger, and I forgot the way that Hook had his head and neck banged into the commentary table.
Yeah, that was rough.
That reminded me of that. I'm like, wow, I cannot believe. But you know what? I think that was a match that could have turned Hook into a big star if they followed through properly. But you know what? Regardless, we had actually, I'd say this was more of a decent promo on the side of Hook here. You know, you want to start stuff with my family, guess what? I'm going to find out who did this, and I'll kill you. And there we go. That is my man representing how us Italians and Sicilians will go about doing business when you hurt our families.
So, who did this to Taz?
There's a lot of options.
He said Taz said it was dudes. He said it was more than one person. But that would be funny if it was just Hobbs. Just beat the shit out of Taz by himself.
Single guy.
He thought it was 6 dudes.
The force of multiple people.
Would it just be messed up if it was Undisputed behind all this?
No.
Even if it was a handshake, like, come on, it's Roderick Strong.
What assholes. What an asshole.
I was thinking that. Could be them. Hey, always the possibility that he got too close to the truth when it came down to Moxley and friends.
That could be a storyline. You call them Moxley and friends?
That's what I've been calling them. Because I don't know what else to call them.
I like the way they had weaved that Moxley storyline throughout the entire episode last week, and I kind of want to see more of them because they were trying to affect the whole company. So I kind of want to see more of them on the show, even if that means somebody else gets less TV time. I think the story takes precedent. But yeah,
I still love them lying in wait, waiting for Danielson to come backstage, and Christian accidentally revealed where they were.
Claudio was like, "Yeah, I'll get him next time."
But speaking of Christian Cage, Christian tells everyone, hey, if you've been down for what he's been doing the last couple of years, you haven't seen anything yet. Christian Cage letting people know that he's still got a lot left in the tank, and he is going to have exactly what he needs. And the way he said it was hook, line, and sinker, to which I wrote down, did the patriarchy attack Taz?
I thought about that hook line. He did say hook. He did come on right after hook.
Yeah, hook, line, and sinker.
I guess Christian working with Hook wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I imagine Hook needs somebody like Christian, but I'm still kind of wondering what father. I guess Christian's world title story will be more with Moxley than Bryan, but that's gonna be weird too. How is Moxley gonna come off as a baby face? Oh, I wonder if. Like, I mean, we had talked before about how Moxley really doesn't seem to want to do this. Like, it's something they feel like they have to. And I wonder if they legitimately do have to do that. Or if there's a way to convince everyone that what they do to Bryan at that pay-per-view is actually for the greater good. Somehow they will still be baby faces on the other side of that pay-per-view. That would be a masterful stroke of booking if they can pull that off.
I could absolutely see Christian being like, see what they just did to Danielson? I knew the whole time, but you know, all of you just wanted to boo me, but Father knows best. So, and they keep having those interactions between, you know, Christian and the patriarchy alongside Mox and Friends.
That's it, because I was just thinking like it would be a lot easier to have a heel Christian than it would be to have Christian as the face or trying to be the face in this story. I don't see an avenue for him to be a face at all against whoever's going to be world champion, or just trying to kind of use future sight here.
Do they need to be? Why can't they both be heel?
I think default Christian is so slimy that, and Moxley is so cool. On the other side of the coin, that he's just going to get cheered. Like, they're just going to get cheered.
But remember, the issue is Moxley's the one that retires Danielson.
I don't even know if that's enough for people to hate him. Like, I don't know about sustained hate because he tried to kill He tried to kill Bryan already, and I mean that wasn't enough for people to be like, I hate Moxley. Like, he's still very cool. He's still very fucking cool.
Besides, remember too, Christian Cage is the face. He's the father we all need.
Maybe Christian is being that ultimate opportunist in a way. Maybe he's just waiting for that time to shoot. Maybe it's not going to be against Moxley nor Danielson. Maybe somewhere down the way he's going to find somebody that's going to come out, win the title, and then see, oh, I can beat this guy easily and kayfabe terms, and that's how he gets the title. For some odd reason, I'm sitting here thinking that Christian is going to hold this title shot out for a year or something like that and wait for Adam to come back from injury, and then Copeland wins the world title, and then Christian is the one who beats him for that title. For some odd reason, that's one of the things I'm thinking of, because honestly, in some way, shape, or form, I think this is going to tie into a world title match between those two at some point down the line. But when it comes down to that avenue of how can you do Christian and Moxley, you can't, because you can't have that heel versus heel factor either. Nobody's going to want to understand, like, when you watch wrestling, it's okay with face versus face. That crowd is going to be split. For heel versus heel matches, it's kind of confusing for an average fan or somebody that is new to watching a wrestling product of, if these both guys are bad guys, then who do I cheer for? And then at that rate, I think that if they do want to cash in on that opportunity of Christian with that world title match, at that point, Bryan Danielson is going to have to win at Wrestle Dream against Moxley, but then that also kills that momentum for Moxley. So I think in the terms of Christian Cage getting a title opportunity at some point, it kind of dug a hole for them.
I want to disagree here with that, Robbie, because we've seen a lot of times where, heel versus heel has worked from the perspective of maybe it's not necessarily cheering for one guy over the other, but it's more so, seeing what they do within the match itself. Like I think about like Kurt Angle, Triple H, or, thinking about even going back to, so many feuds that the Four Horsemen had, because that was all about just pure domination. And it really just became a matter of we're rooting for, the person who's the lesser heel, I guess, so to speak there.
I'm going to chime in on this one because my brain went through the gutter of the rabbit hole of pro wrestling, and I completely kind of went my own direction. I don't remember who said this, but when you guys brought up the fact that like even after everything that's happened with Daniel or with Mox and Christian Cage down the road, that Christian probably still the one more slimy of the two guys, and Moxley does have that swagger that a lot of people dig, and his theme right now does add a little bit to him. And if I had to pick, yeah, I'd want to back Moxley up out of the two of them.
Yeah, I think after hearing Nick on that one, I can also probably say I would cheer for Moxley too, because Moxley's kind of got that Stone Cold Steve Austin thing going with him on the attitude that he has, because he's just so badass and anti-authority.
Yeah,
I would also back Moxley in that situation. Yeah.
I am kind of using these these logic boundaries as a path to what I think this story is going to be, because you look backwards, they've already started building Christian towards Moxley versus Moxley. He's cut some promos on Bryan, sure, but multiple times now the Moxley group has gotten in his way. Okay, that is already, I feel like we've already established that. The thing that I brought up earlier was that I believe there's only two ways this is gonna go. They're just gonna straight up play it like you said, if he heel versus heel. It's not like it's new in AEW. Honestly, the dichotomy of heel versus face doesn't really exist here. Bryan Danielson has never been he's never really changed who he is. But based on what story he was involved in, he was either the heel or the face, just based off who he was fighting. The Moxley thing, while he might be the heel in this Bryan story, let's say you get the reveal of the master planner at this pay-per-view, and it's so fucking newsworthy and cool that he's almost by default the babyface going into a program with this roadblock Christian, who's probably going to come out and interrupt whatever cool moment, whatever cool moment they'll have following Wrestle Dream on Dynamite. So it's going to be fun.
Here's an interesting bit of trivia to throw out there, is I'm looking for just any semblance of Jon Moxley and Christian, any of their matches that they've been involved in together over the years. A lot of tag matches that have involved Christian, Daniel Bryan on the same team taking on Dean Ambrose against, in the Shield.
Oh
Well,
shit!
yeah, that
I
does
wish
look
he could
like
have
that, yeah.
done that.
There's a few just interesting points on there. And Christian and Danielson have defeated Moxley more times than Moxley's defeated them, at least in those trios matches.
I think that it's going to be impossible for Moxley to be a heel because guess what's going to happen when they reveal this person as the leader of the group? Let's fucking go. Moxley and the group are bringing the boom on Dynamite. Christian can never be a babyface against Big AJ.
I almost spit my drink out. You did that right when I took it. It was everywhere.
Next world champion, baby.
Ooh, let's go. And hey, speaking of world champions, we have Mariah May. She was being very mean to Willow, and we all know how that goes. That cannot stand. You cannot ever be mean to Willow Nightingale. And so, of course, Willow enters frame. She was not playing. She pushed right in there, and then she ended up causing two security guards and CD to run up and just basically separate them. And actually, we had a moment where the security guards were doing their jobs and not getting beat up. That's crazy.
She tried to slap Mariah May and ended up
nothing.
She slapped her in the chest like by accident, like across the neck. It was like a fucking awkward meaty ass slap, but it didn't land where it was supposed to. It was funny as fuck. But very happy to see Mariah May or Willow Nightingale setting up for a world title match against Mariah May. But they had Mariah in the audience for this Britt Baker, Serena Deeb, Queen Aminata thing. And I almost wonder if we are teasing Mariah May versus Britt Baker coming up after Wrestle Dream.
Next pay-per-view?
Does feel like it with how they ended that women's match.
You don't need to. I guess Full Gear is in November, so they would already be on the way. Full Gear in New York. It's going to be great.
New York.
What's left?
Oh, we had the barn burner that was Private Party completely squashing the 700 pounds combined Iron Savages.
What the fuck?
Shout out to that stat there on their lower third where Private Party ranks 4th in all-time tag team wins. That's pretty interesting.
It's weird that the lower third is so clear, but they're so blurry.
It's because they didn't have Cheesecake with them, and I'm really upset.
They lost him forever. They've got new gear, they've got new music, they've got new graphics. They come out here, they squash, and it really looks like the Moxley cutting that promo on them and saying, what the fuck have you been doing all this time, was the beginning of a sustained push for Private Party.
That's cool.
I would think it's cool, but they get right into a thing with the Young Bucks, and I'm like, if they don't win automatically, then this is a waste of time. Right back to the bottom. Mm-hmm. So here's to hoping.
I also felt like they could have easily included Commander and Jack Jameson into this match, but I do see that point. I didn't really think about that, John, where they were trying to reintroduce Private Party and have them as their next evolution. And here's a very valid, interesting thing that happened. Stokely Hathaway was watching this whole match and
he looked
smiling.
Impressed.
He was impressed with them.
It's like Stokely found their boys.
Bronson and Boulder didn't even get much of a chance to do anything. I wonder if something went a little bit overtime, or they wanted to make sure title versus title had plenty of opportunity. But you know what? Private Party got to show what they could do against some monsters. And I thought it was nice to be able to see the Iron Savages on here because I've been a fan of them since, they were Bear Country on the Dark and Elevation days.
Oh, I missed that.
Actually, sounds like we might get Dark back. Who knows?
Ooh. They've been thinking about it.
The graphic was down. There
we go. So yeah, Brother Zay takes the mic. They call out the Bucks. Here come the EVPs, and they were keeping Private Party properly distracted for Jack Perry to run in and jump him from behind. But hey, it's okay because it's your boy Shibata. CD comes out and makes a trios match official. We're gonna have Private Party and Shibata taking on Jack Perry and the Bucks on Rampage. This is Rampage, baby.
Baby. Do we know how long Rampage has left? Is it canceled at the end of the year? Or no, it can't just disappear. I imagine they have a certain number of episodes left. And
it feels like probably until January, I'd imagine.
Yeah, until the beginning of this new deal that we will talk about in depth on DirtSheetRadio.
But yes, we'll jump from that match over to an amazing, incredible segment of the night. We had MVP coming out there, but before he can do too much, Prince Nana was ready to fight, reminding everyone that he is a trained wrestler. But you know what? If Prince Nana has a complaint, hey, he could just send that to the president of the complaint department. The one and only Shelton freaking Benjamin is here.
Thank God. Thank you, Tony.
Standard. Ain't no stopping me now. This guy is awesome. I love Shelton. I'm so happy he is here. I'm absolutely pumped for this. I am ecstatic for this. John, I need you to take over. I'm too excited right now.
I am really happy to see Shelton Benjamin getting the opportunity anywhere. I always felt like Shelton has never been given a real platform to do what it is that he can do. I don't know that this is going to be the place for that either. I'm not expecting him to have a full-on run with like MVP, like as a singles guy or win any singles titles. Although you really never know. Like guys come in here and you have certain expectations, and it's like they completely blow them out of the water. I'm looking at like Jeff Jarrett, you know.
Yeah.
You just never know. Is Greg DeMarco still commenting on your shit? I fucking hate that guy, Nick.
Is he?
How did you find this dude? I haven't seen him in years. He used to own a wrestling website, but he was like the worst. He hated anything that wasn't WWE, and this was before AEW even existed. Gosh, stinky boy. The Shelton Benjamin thing, though. I mean, he's here to be the vet, but really a salad dressing to the fucking syndicate. Bobby Lashley is the main dude. But again, like I said about Jeff Jarrett, these things don't always go the way you expect them to. So for all we know, he could be fucking TNT champion by next year on the run of his fucking life. What do you guys think of Shelton Benjamin becoming all elite?
Whoa.
All right.
I'm back.
Oh, he changed. What?
I'm so scared now.
Greg DeMarco attacked.
Ghost.
I just remember him from like the We Love Pro Wrestling days.
Yeah, that's why I said, holy shit, look at him in here under your video.
About to be really surprised when he finds out the news.
Ooh.
Imagine a lot of the hardcore WWE fans that absolutely hate AEW is going to feel after they find out Shelton Benjamin's in AEW. We know what's going to happen. Yeah. That's how it usually is.
Yeah.
Shelton Benjamin is such an interesting case study because he was a part of that OVW class that had like all the GOATs. Yet of that group, he was the only one that really wasn't a major world champion, and he absolutely should have been. He's been able to defeat so many of them, and he's legit. He is one of the biggest and strongest wrestlers you'll ever find. And on top of that, he was legitimately Brock Lesnar's sparring partner. And Brock Lesnar has said that Shelton's like the one dude that he knows could consistently out wrestle him when it comes down to like pure amateur mat wrestling. So
big one.
Do not doubt Shelton Benjamin, and I am just so happy. Young Nick LaRocco has probably the biggest Shelton Benjamin action figure collection years ago. We're talking those Ruthless Aggression era figures, so it was the Good Jacks ones. You know what I'm talking about. And yeah, I'm so happy to see Shelton finally get this time to shine. And with Tony Khan being such a huge dream weaver and him, loving that type of era from, the 90s and like Ruthless Aggression era and things like that, I could see him wanting to rectify and give Shelton Benjamin his time in the spotlight, even if it's something along the lines of a Ring of Honor heavyweight championship. I just want some sort of heavyweight title for my man.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Shelton, I was so happy to finally see Shelton show up in AEW. Let me remind people of who the gold standard is and why they call him the gold standard. He's a 3-time WWE Intercontinental Champion. He's a 3-time WWE Tag Team Champion, with 2 of those being alongside Charlie Haas, part of the self-proclaimed World's Greatest Tag Team. And plus, if you all remember, when Shelton Benjamin first made his debut in WWE on the main roster since getting called up from OVW, was alongside Charlie, but also who was his professor, who was the teacher for him, not only other than our Olympic hero, the man who broke his neck, his broken freaking neck in the Olympics, Kurt Angle. Shelton Benjamin, to me, was one of those guys that I felt like should have gotten a world title push in WWE. I have heard many of guys around the wrestling industry sitting there wondering why Shelton never got the push that he deserved. Shelton was a guy that worked very hard. Yeah. We've seen how hard he worked. Great mat wrestler, brilliant at that. For a guy that is, at this point now, he's not like he was back in the 2000s. He's now more big, he's more jacked, but he's still as agile as he was back when he was younger. He can still give you that highlight reel feel in those matches. I can't wait to see them, as I pointed out before the show when we're talking about Shelton, I can't wait to see him be put in ladder matches again and just letting him go and do those amazing ladder spots that he used to do in the Money in the Bank ladder matches, where WrestleMania 22 running up the ladder, using it as a springboard, and then flipping over to everybody, him doing everything he can do, because to me, he was the star of those Money in the Bank ladder matches. Shelton Benjamin, having him a part of your roster, he is a show stealer. He's going to give you what you need. He's a great workhorse in professional wrestling. He's definitely going to help your guys that are a lot more younger learn to adapt and work to that ring more. Shelton going to AEW is a huge asset. And also, I'm going to agree with Neek. I'm going to agree with John. I can see him going to be TNT champion or even continental or international champion at some point. We all know Bobby Lashley, when he comes in,
Continental will be fire for him.
We all know Bobby Lashley is gonna be that guy, but they don't have to go for the Hurt Syndicate. They don't have to go that route WWE did and just have Bobby get the one singles title and then have Shelton and Cedric Alexander just be those tag team pieces. You can have this Hurt Syndicate and let them dominate the whole singles competition. You can have that. You don't need a tag team championship asset to your faction. They can eat with what Shelton can do. He can also, at one point in time, maybe if they do break out the Hurt Syndicate in AEW, maybe we'll finally see him get a world championship here too. Who knows? Sky's the limit for Shelton. Tony Khan is going to help him out a lot when it comes to the bookings.
I'm a little concerned that they're going to want to do Shelton and Bobby as a tag team first. I mean, I get it. I get it, especially if there's no room right now. Like, this is a good way to keep them both on TV, establish some of the faction. But I'm not interested in having them be a full-on tag team, kind of the way they did Swerve and Keith Lee in the beginning. I was like, oh no, what are we doing?
They have to be singles guys.
But we'll see. We will see. What else was that the end of Dynamite tonight?
That was pretty much the end of it. Caesar, you look like you were gonna throw something out.
I was gonna say, I don't think Robbie heard that Cedric re-signed with WWE.
Oh, yeah. I know. I mentioned it last week.
I think he was making the point, though.
Yeah, I agree with this point completely, though.
All right, but hey, we made it through the 5th anniversary of AEW Dynamite. We talked about some of our amazing memories with Dynamite. Exactly 5. And hey, let's look at who our megastars of the night were for this episode of Dynamite. Thank you, John. Nothing is absolutely loading on my end. What happens when you disconnect and have internet issues? But hey, if you want to avoid internet issues, make sure you go to comicbookclick.com, scroll to the very bottom, and get yourself some NordVPN. That'll be protecting you from all your internet woes. But hey, megastar of the night. I'm going to go first because I want to be able to say this. My man, Shelton Benjamin, that's my megastar of the night. That was able to come out there and he was going to show off just his presence. He had that aura. He didn't have to do anything. He just stood there, looked like a badass. His
promo, though?
It was great. It was everything it needed to be. And that's how you introduce him. And again, he doesn't need to say anything. That reaction alone told you everything you needed to know.
It was loud.
Absolutely. But Robbie, I might have stole your pick there. So, hey, I'll throw this over to you and see if you got another one.
But luckily, though, I do have a plan B. And it's the guy who also returned tonight. And that is the Switchblade Jay White. Ooh. To me, Jay White had one of the second biggest pops of the night when he came out and returned. And I liked the fact, too, that they put Jay White into a shining star in a way that he now can have a spot. We've seen him in AEW now for about a couple years, and Tony Khan hasn't been able to do much with Jay White. Now that we're going to throw Jay White into an actual feud with somebody that is a former AEW World Heavyweight Champion and Hangman Adam Page, the sky's the limit. I love the fact that Jay White came in and he hit him in through the table. Jay White is one of the guys that you need on that roster that's gonna go, and I can't wait to see what's gonna come out of this Jay White and Hangman Adam Page feud. To me, he is at this point he was gonna be my second megastar, but now he's my first megastar of the night.
There we go. All right, Robbie, throw it to the next person.
All right, John, who is your megastar of the night?
Oh, that's an easy one. I'm not going to be able to give this to him much longer, so I got to give it to my boy, the American Dragon, the world champion, the face of the company.
His favorite wrestler ever.
Mr. All Elite Wrestling, the greatest of all time. Bryan Danielson. I can't. He's the megastar. He's the megastar of life. I can give him megastar of the night if he wasn't on Dynamite tonight.
5 years later,
it's that serious. But again, he came out. This dude is, I can see it. Like he still gives us the best matches that he can, but I can legitimately see his battery on like 25%. Like he is still the fucking best. He's still, god damn
He's like a Nokia phone.
He's the number one hero.
Legitimately, actually, like the number one hero. Like All Might. He's got this fucking damaged ass neck. Probably doesn't have any bones left in it. Just meat holding up a head. And he still comes out here and he still put the entire fucking company on his back. This man isn't even on a contract with AEW. Come on, man. That's
just
your
shows
guy.
up to work.
That's the guy. But also you get Moxley, who also does things like that. That's why if Brian's gonna leave, and I'm glad Moxley's still here. God, you really need those paperweights, those real, like you said, the heart and soul.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Caesar.
I was gonna take an obvious route and say two gentlemen who started off the show, but I thought I'd take a different route because you posted the graphic and showed us that this match is happening at Wrestle Dream. So I'm gonna say it like it is. Konosuke Takeshita. That push, I am so excited for. I'm curious to see how it's gonna go, and how it's gonna. Yeah, that pose. Yeah, that pose. Just like I just stole everything. So
look at this man. Look at this man's drip. Look at how he's dressed. Look at this man's drip. How is he not a champion already? That should just be his.
That looks very comfortable.
It does. I've never seen pants like this. I want them.
Pants?
Right.
I don't know if you can call them that. They have like a thing on the bottom. But yeah.
I'm excited for it. That's all I can say.
Hell yeah.
I dig that. Well, hey, after that, we got to go with, of course, we'll go right to the Jobber of the Night, presented by comicbookclick.com. Hey, like I mentioned, make sure you go to the comicbookclick.com. But guess what? You're going to be getting everything you want there. Not just comic book news, but you're also going to get wrestling news. You're going to get pop culture news. If you want it, hey, we're going to be hooking you up, getting you your nerd culture and pop culture today. But Caesar, who's your Jobber of the Night? Oh, no, he died.
No, I'm sorry. I'm reading some notes here. In all honesty, I'm gonna say us because that match between Ospreay and Ricochet, the way it ended, and the only we got was like an extra minute or so. We got robbed. We could have gotten another 5 minutes at least, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So that's my pick for a jobber. Us being screwed.
Speak for yourself.
Enjoy it.
Damn it,
John.
Yeah, Jobber of the Night tonight is going to be probably, I was gonna say Mariah May, but she always looks great. I love her, but also none of the stuff she's doing is connecting. And tonight they didn't give her an opportunity to try again. She's kind of had to sit there and let Willow develop. But listen, this is gonna sound fucking crazy, but my Jobber of the Night tonight is Britt Baker. I think that tonight's performance, her reaction, it's such a far cry from when AEW used to come into Pittsburgh. It used to really legitimately be Britsburg. Like the Britt Baker, like this town belonged to her in AEW, and that's why they kind of shoehorned her into the show tonight. But it's not. She's just she's not in that position anymore, and I don't know how do you fix that. I'm watching this match, and I see like there's nothing particularly wrong with what they're doing, but the crowd isn't going crazy for it the way they used to with Britt. Right. So it's kind of coming off a little flat. Like, and I'm like, damn, like, what do you do about this? I am honestly like, I don't know if she's got anything left in AEW. I would not be mad at her if she made the decision to defect over to the other side. It would probably be really good. Honestly, I think she fits in a lot more over there anyway. But I don't know. I don't know how you fix it. I feel like the crowd is weird about her now, and I don't know how you win that back other than turning on them completely, or maybe going back to the Jamie Hayter thing and maybe completing that story. They had there was a report that maybe they were not at an interpersonal place where they can finish the story, but I always think this is complete bullshit. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Not that the story isn't true, but the idea that even if it was true, that should keep them from working together. You have a job, and we tend to work with people we don't like all the fucking time.
What?
And and they're gonna say, but in this job, you have to trust the other person with your body. And to that, I respond, even if you are mad at each other, even if you're in a place where you don't want to speak to each other, if you legitimately can't trust this person, or this person is not trustworthy with your body, do they deserve this job at all? So no, I don't want to hear any of that shit. I think that we need to work to heating Britt back up. She's fucking cold. Sucks.
Yeah. All right, jobber of the night, Robbie.
For my jobber of the night is Christopher Daniels. I was hoping that he was going to come out tonight after everything with Private Party and the EVPs and stuff, that he was going to make an announcement for next Tuesday, for Title Tuesday. The AEW Tag Team titles were going to be online between Private Party and the Young Bucks, because I do want to see that rematch. One of the first handfuls of Dynamite, and one of the moments that they did touch on throughout the night, was that Private Party upset the Young Bucks in the first ever tag team title tournament. I was hoping they're going to go ahead and run that back, but no, instead he just announces for a 6-man tag team match on Rampage. Okay, cool, all that. We could have just figured that out after the show. Why wouldn't you just give us what we want? And that is a damn tag team title match next Tuesday on Title Tuesday between the Young Bucks and Private Party. So Christopher Daniels, you're on my shit list now.
Yeah, I mean, hey, rolling with that same vibe from that same match, I gotta go with the Iron Savages as my jobbers of the night. It's so unfortunate. This just proves that point of AEW and Tony Khan not knowing what to do with monsters. You've got Bronson, who's like nearly 300 pounds, the Boulder, who's about 400, and these guys are getting absolutely demolished. Like, I'm not saying they have to win every match, but I mean, come on, like Private Party, I get it that they're getting rebooted, but at the same time, it just felt so wrong that we're not giving anything really to those two guys, and even Jack Jameson. And again, I'm not trying to say, hey, like all the big wrestlers need to get a little bit of everything, but AEW just needs those monsters. And if you build back up the Iron Savages to be what the name suggests, that could be a name that strikes fear in the hearts of opponents, instead of just like, oh, well, whoever's up against them, they get a free win. Yeah, so Iron Savages, they're my jobbers of the night. But we were talking about jobbers and megastars, which leaves us, of course, with Match of the Night. Match of the Night presented by Monk.com, MONQ.com. Go there, use promo code DSR10 to get 10% off your purchase of personal aromatherapy diffusers. Woo! All right. Match of the night. Y'all know I'm going to be taking this one right off the bat. Ricochet, Will Ospreay. How can you not? I can see this easily being the one we all go with. But yeah, I gotta go with that. Robbie?
For me, I'm actually going to try to be the oddball. I mean, I don't want to try to go ahead and pick Ricochet and Ospreay because I know it's whatever somebody's gonna pick. So I'm gonna go with my original favorite of the night, which was actually Hangman Adam Page and Juice Robinson. I felt like those guys had a pretty solid match, and that was full of aggression. It was full of violence, full of leather strap PTSD there for Hangman. I love the fact too that they were teasing the table spot that they would then later use when Jay White made his return. The cannonball into the barricade spot looked pretty freaking good. And plus too, in cases as well too with people who are not familiar with Juice Robinson's work in NXT or in New Japan Professional Wrestling at his time being the United States champion over there, working with the Bullet Club. It also makes you remind you too of why AEW also picked up Juice Robinson alongside Jay White, because Juice Robinson, I feel like, doesn't get recognized enough to be one of those top workers within the company. He's very charismatic. He's entertaining, and he can go. He could have been a lot more in WWE if he didn't break Kevin Owens' nose, but otherwise, the match itself was great. I did like the fact that, as John said earlier, that they were bringing back the old stuff with Hangman during Ring of Honor, where he used the leather strap to hang over Juice Robinson, which honestly, it's literally in the name. If people are going to be offended by that, like, look at his damn nickname. It's Hangman. What do you expect? Like,
it turns out
someone.
It was actually his belt, which a lot of people were thirsting over, as someone got a video of Hangman taking off his belt.
My simps are here.
In my defense, I didn't see the belt buckle, so I thought it was just a leather strap.
Thank goodness.
It's a fire thing. It's getting a little hot in here.
Yep. Woo. But otherwise, yeah, like, that match is definitely my match of the night, and it built to what was, because when I did watch this match, I added in what's next for Adam, and then immediately I got my answer. I'm satisfied with the answer. Match of the night for me, Hangman and Juice. Good job, boys.
I love it.
John.
Yeah, my match of the night is Ricochet and Ospreay. There's no real getting around that one. I loved Bryan and Okada, but Ricochet and Ospreay ran out there, and they were it's like they were in a time machine. Like I said, I'm like, they were like a fraction of a second slower than they were when they were 50 pounds lighter each. But that tends to happen. So I didn't take it like some of the people who kind of want to dump on it are trying to present it as. I disagree with that entirely. I feel like they looked incredible. I love that match.
Absolutely. Caesar.
Well, let's make it interesting. I was actually like, all the matches tonight, like the two big ones, I should say, were amazing. But because of the return, I'm gonna go with the Hangman versus Juice match.
Hey.
Like, both matches were phenomenal in the way they were. But I mean, if I had to pick, I love the fact that there's so much grit in the Hangman Juice match. And of course, Switchblade came back, which is pretty bitchin' to see. So, to kind of paraphrase Robbie, I'm curious to see where this is gonna go in the whole Hangman Switchblade angle. It'll be good. Maybe no house party.
Yeah. Inferno Man.
Can't keep getting away with that. All right, but hey, you know what? That has been us. We got through all of those amazing fun segments. Hey, thank you all for joining us, chat. It's been nearly 2 hours. That's what happens when you got a crazy overrun on a big anniversary show. And this upcoming show is going to be taking place next week on Tuesday. So make sure you check that out. But hey, remember, this is DirtSheetRadio. We're literally always on. Get ready for us to continue to stay on. So we're going to be on, of course, Monday nights for Raw.
Yeet.
Tuesday for NXT per usual, but next week is going to be unique because it'll be a Tuesday Dynamite. Typically, that will be on Wednesdays, of course. Don't forget. Exactly, taking over. Don't forget Thursdays for TNA Impact.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Friday, Nick Mac John for the SmackDown show. Of course, we're going to be having potentially more stuff single-handedly on Saturdays. A lot of times you'll catch our pay-per-view streams on there. Yeet. And hey, maybe soon a WCW show. That'll be in the works. So a lot of that's my fault that we're not saying that. But hey, at any rate, we're also going to be having, you saw a little bit of this earlier, CJ and Tyler's Level Up, which isn't going to be that anymore.
Weekend Wrestling Roundup with a W. Tyler would not forgive me if I didn't make sure to say it like that.
With
Make
the
sure
W.
to make sure to say it like that. And of course, we're going to be having our guys from the 3NT Wrestling Podcast
Let's go.
as well. Of course, you can always find us on the lovely social medias. You can find me posting on Dirt Sheet Radio here and there, anything nerd related or wrestling related as Nick Larocco. So make sure you go and give me a follow. I will truly appreciate it, and I will try to talk to you as much as I can. Robbie, where are they going to be able to find you on the social media?
When it comes to the social media, you can find me on Instagram for Rourke_Rob 2001. We also got me on Facebook as well, just looking up my real name. Obviously, you guys can see me commenting over in the dirt sheets as well under my real name, Robert Rourke, which is also where you can find me too. And also, if you also have any questions too and future references too, you can also follow me on TikTok. Same thing as my Instagram, honestly. It's all plugged in together in the same way. So that's where you can find me.
All right, Caesar, where are they finding you at?
As always, I'm sitting down with these three gentlemen discussing AEW Dynamite every Wednesday, but next week it'll be on the Tuesday. And I'm also on the Monday night show with the other two gentlemen, along with John, being those guys as Tyler and CJ. And on the social media, you can find me at NoobTube. I'd say all the names of the social media, but there are way too many nowadays to name. So I'm just going to say it simply. If you want to find me, there's the handle. Use it, and I'll see you when I see you. John?
Oh,
There's only one place that I want you to go, and that's DirtSheet Radio.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Go to DirtSheet Radio. Check us out. We're always doing that good old news stuff. Fucking pop culture, professional
Chad
wrestling.
Greg is cheating?
Full on. You got to mind. That's not for you. Gosh, I hope they don't send. I hope they don't send any titties.
Oh no. Oh no.
DirtSheet Radio, man, come check us out. We're the fucking best. Like,
Hell
we're
yeah.
literally the best. I have no intention of ever being modest again. All the other dirt sheets have just been around longer. If you give us a little bit more time, we'll be better than them too. Ask them to try to fuck
two
with
gentlemen, along with John,
even the
being those guys.
even
as
your favorite
Tyler
dirt
and
sheet.
CJ.
Ask them to try to fuck with us on Facebook. Honestly, go look up your favorite dirt sheet and then come back to Dirt Sheet Radio.
No,
Honestly,
they won't come back.
ask, try. They don't fuck. Their engagement doesn't fuck with ours. Okay, Dirt Sheet Radio.
We're more interactive.
Facebook belongs to
whoa.
Dirt Sheet Radio. You want to fucking? I'm done being. But as a matter of fact, starting tomorrow, that's gonna be part of fucking marketing. Facebook. When it comes to dirt sheets, when it comes to professional wrestling rumors, when it comes to pop culture,
Are we doing that?
Facebook fucking belongs to Dirt Sheet Radio, and it's gonna stay that way for good.
Oh, yeah.
Damn right.
John, what's going to be happening in a few minutes?
In
Like,
just
you.
literally on the other side of this wall, we are going to say thank you. We're going to put up this graphic right here. We're going to close this stream. And then we're going to open a new one, a brand new show, an entirely different situation. Dirt Sheet Radio, the flagship, the newscast,
These gentlemen.
the original.
Oh,
With
geez.
Nick, Greg, and John. And sometimes Mac shows up.
The
I don't
OG.
see him in the chat anymore.
But yeah, man, thank you for joining us. We'll see you later tonight. Just a little bit.
Just a little
Be
bit.
right
Just a little
there.
bit.